Genshin Impact is the same as humanity. My name is Wang Daoyi. I used to be a member of a treasure-stealing group, but now I am a soul-piercing descendant. My first task is to escape the ruins of this treasure-stealing group and take some antiques with me. Don't be caught by the Qianyan Army, and then run to Liyue to start my journey to Tivat. Keywords of the novel. Tivat's Explorer no pop-ups, Tivat's Explorer TXT Complete Collection Download, Tivat's Explorer Latest Chapter Reading. Chapter 1. The Descendants in the Thief Group. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. The Descendants in the Thief Group. In an underground ruins in Liyue, a 16 or 17-year-old boy is sitting cross-legged on a tattered straw mat. His originally delicate face is full of a bit of fatigue, and there seems to be some excitement in the fatigue. The conflicting emotions appear on the boy's face, making it look a bit strange. I have seen those who cross into a hill at the beginning, as well as those who turn into slime at the beginning. I have even seen those who cross into gods, but who would have thought that crossing over would turn into a treasure-stealing group? As a player who entered the pit halfway but also successfully advanced to level 8, Wang Daoyi easily obtained information about this world from the original owner's memory after his soul pierced through this 16-year-old boy. Liyue Ren, who had no family since childhood, grew up in Qingce village. At the age of 15, he couldn't resist the boy's desire for adventure and joined a passing treasure-stealing group. It had been a year since then, and the boy had learned many skills in the group, such as how to quickly and safely steal, how to effectively excavate relics, and how to mix a powerful element bottle. Although in the memory of the young man, he enjoyed his time in the treasure-stealing group and learned a lot of knowledge, as the king of the adventure, or in other words, the treasure-stealing group clearly had no future. What is a treasure-stealing group? It's a wild monster, a villain, a group of destructive elements wandering in the wilderness. As one of the earliest monsters to appear, the treasure thief group does not have the powerful force of the sea chaos ghost, nor does it have the powerful winter technology of the fools. Even the newly released gold-plated brigade in Sumeru is clearly stronger than the treasure thief group. And Wang Daoyi, on the other hand, crossed over and became such a roadside monster. It is obvious that this is not a very good situation. In the original owner's memory, he is now located in an underground ruins of Liyue. His treasure-stealing group discovered this ruins a month ago and called a group of members to carry out destructive development. Within a month, the treasure-stealing group has excavated a large number of antiques, but the huge noise caused by destructive development has also caught the attention of the Qianyan Army. Some of the big shots in the treasure-stealing group have already slipped away, leaving behind small subordinates like Wang Daoyi to guard some of the untransferred antiques. No, this relic has already been discovered by the Qianyan Army. I must leave here as soon as possible, otherwise when the Qianyan Army comes to surround me, I will have to apologize to those runaway treasure thieves. Wang Dao thought for a moment and made it clear that he couldn't continue to stay here. With the escape of the leader of the treasure-stealing group, this ruins must be becoming increasingly dangerous and could be raided by the Qianyan Army at any time. However, there are still some antiques that have not been transferred here. Perhaps I can take some with me. After all, I don't have much more on me. If I want to leave the treasure-stealing group, I probably won't be able to do it without money. Wang Daoyi's gaze fell on a nearby cave entrance, where the treasure thief group had piled up the excavated antiques. This relic was quite complete, and despite the destructive excavation by the treasure thief group, a large number of intact antiques were still preserved. However, the treasure thief group leader ran away and took away some of them, leaving many antiques piled up in the treasure cave. And Wang Daoyi had the idea of these antiques. Of course, Wang Daoyi himself did not understand the value of those antiques, but he had a way to distinguish them. That was the data box that had been floating in front of him since he crossed over. Yes, he had a golden finger, but currently it seems to be just a box displaying data. Name: Wang Daoyi. Race: human race. Liyue people level: 15 skills. Thief's fist and feet, LV3, elemental bottle making, LV4, crossbow shooting, LV4, precision throwing, LV4, explorer, LV max. This is all the information on the virtual screen. It's not a system from a novel, nor is it a powerful cheat. At most, it's just a status display interface. The information on the interface is easy to understand, all the skills learned by the original owner after joining the treasure stealing group. The display of skill levels also indicates that the original owner is a truly intelligent child. Although he only had a short year in the treasure stealing group, he also learned most of the skills of the treasure stealing group. The skills of the fist and feet of the thief group represent the combat skills learned by the original owner within the thief group. The LV3 level allows the original owner to deal with 3 hill people alone, and even deal with a hill person thug. Fist and feet are not only attacks, but also movements and movements. The skill of making elemental bottles represents the classic moves of the thief group, and the signature skill of the thief group's pharmacist. During more than a year in the thief group, the original owner learned to make 4 types of elemental bottles: fire, thunder, ice, water, and so on. With the help of elemental bottles, the original owner was able to deal damage to powerful monsters. After all, in the wilderness of Liyue, there are also things that are difficult to harm with their fists and feet, such as the residual resentment of the demon god. And crossbow shooting and precision throwing are even easier to understand, which are the 2 common long-range attack methods used by treasure stealing groups. It has to be said that although the treasure stealing group is one of the lowest level monsters in the Genshin Impact game, in reality, the skills mastered by the treasure stealing group are really very practical things, at least giving the newly arrived Wang Daoyi some assurance of survival. Shaking his head, Wang Daoyi turned his gaze to his last skill. Explorer, LV max. This skill sounds very powerful, but in fact, it also looks very powerful. Especially with the max level at the back, it looks very comfortable. The top level skills are very strong at first glance. And the name Explorer, Wang Daoyi believes, means to explore and research, while his own looks very much like a system panel, and the data displayed on it is probably the effect brought by this skill. Because Wang Daoyi experimented, this panel can not only display his own attributes, but also other people's attributes. Not only other people's attributes, but also some of the damaged antiques piled up at the entrance of the treasure cave. For example, the big man waiting at the entrance of the treasure cave. Name: Treasure Thieves, Tombdiggers, Level 15 Skills. Treasure Robbers Fist and Foot, LV3, Dig, LV5, Shovel Slam, LV3. It's also like the damaged antique at the entrance of the treasure cave. Name: Jade Ball, Damaged, Story. A magical artifact carved from hard jade produced in the northern suburbs of Liyue, known as the Jade Pill by Liyue due to its small and lightweight size, durability, and exquisite craftsmanship. Not only can it be used as a self-defense tool, but it is also a good piece of jewelry to wear on the body. Note: the item is damaged and cannot be used as a magic tool, but it has been given greater value in jewelry over time. 2 completely different panels appeared in Wang Daoyi's field of vision, and this kind of analysis of others and other items can be said to be his medium-sized golden finger. Although it may not bring a direct increase in military strength, Wang Daoyi believes that with this ability, he can live better on this magical land of Tivat. Of course, the prerequisite is that he can carry out his own plan to take away antiques and escape the search of the Qianyan Army. Having sorted out his thoughts, Wang Daoyi walked together towards the members of the treasure stealing group guarding the treasure cave. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Treasure Thieves and Tombdiggers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Treasure Thieves and Tombdiggers. Wang Daoyi always walked towards the members of the treasure stealing group at the entrance of the treasure cave. Although the speed of the movement was slow, like an old man spreading around, there were still wary gazes in the eyes of the members of the treasure stealing group at the entrance of the treasure cave. The tomb digger of the treasure-stealing group dealt with the food in their hands 3 or 2 times, showing a displeased expression towards Wang Daoyi. "Kid, stop and don't get close to the treasure cave, or you'll be punished when Big Sister comes back." The tomb digger of the treasure-stealing group shouted loudly. The treasure-stealing group that Wang Daoyi originally joined was called Bower Stealing Treasure Group. The leader of the group was the famous Bower sister, a female treasure-stealing group that, although lacking divine eyes, also possessed strong military power. And the tomb digger who guards the treasure cave is a legitimate member of Bower sisters' lineage. Unlike Wang Daoyi, who has only joined the treasure-stealing group for a year, the tomb digger is Bower sisters' loyal subordinate, while Wang Daoyi is just a peripheral minion. Although he has performed well for a year, he has not entered the core interest circle of the treasure-stealing group. Wang Daoyi obediently stopped and showed a harmless expression on his face. The elder sister has been away for almost 3 days in order to lure away the Qianyan Army. If they haven't returned for so long, it indicates that they haven't yet let go of the Qianyan Army's pursuit. After a pause, Wang Daoyi smiled as he watched the grave digger with a listening expression on his guard. Since the elder sister and the others have not left the Qianyan Army, then we are not safe, or in other words, the longer the elder sister does not come back, the more dangerous we are. The tomb digger looked at Wang Daoyi with a smile on his face and put away his previously guarded expression, revealing a hint of pride that I had already seen through you. The order given to me by the elder sister is to protect these antiques. Kid, if you want to escape, you can escape on your own. Don't try to provoke me. Escape. How could it be? Without the protection of the elder sister's head, where can we escape? Big brother, what I mean is that we are becoming increasingly dangerous now. If we continue to defend here, we will definitely be discovered by the Qianyan Army in the end. Don't worry about our safety, these antiques will definitely be taken away by the Qianyan Army. Wang Daoyi organized his language while observing the faces of the tomb diggers in the treasure-stealing group. The tomb digger's previously proud expression had darkened. Of course, he knew that the longer he stayed here, the more dangerous it became. However, his reverence for Sister Bower made him hesitant to think much and could only persuade himself to continue to hold on to this place. Watching the grave digger's changing expression, Wang Dao knew that this was a feasible solution. Big brother, let's continue to hold on here. If Big Sister and his team come back, it will be good. However, if it's the Qianyan Army who came, we only developed this relic for a month, with only one entrance and no other openings dug. Once the Qianyan Army comes, we will be finished. The tomb digger knew that Wang Daoyi was not talking nonsense. After all, the entrance to the ruins was dug by him and his people. This excavation was originally intended to be a destructive and rapid development, so there was no preparation for a second stolen cave. Once the stolen cave was blocked by the Qianyan Army, these remaining members of the treasure-stealing group either surrendered obediently or died trapped in the ruins. Kid, what do you think? Speak up and listen. The grave digger said with a gloomy face. Big brother, how many people do we have left now? When the elder sister left, she took away most of the people's hands. Now, besides me, there are 3 senior members in the entire ruins, and there are a total of 12 peripheral members like you. That is to say, there are a total of 16 members of the treasure-stealing group in the entire ruins. Compared to when hundreds of people were excavating the ruins a month ago, it is indeed inconspicuous. No wonder Qianyan Army was temporarily distracted by Bao's sister. After a moment of thought, Wang Dao looked at the tomb digger and said, it's definitely impossible to hold on to the ruins now. We only have 16 people, and compared to the large group of hundreds led by the elder sister, our goal is small and inconspicuous. If we can break up into parts and escape from the ruins separately, then the Qianyan Army may not be able to capture us all. The tomb digger frowned and said, break them up and flee. What about these antiques? If these antiques are captured by the Qianyan Army, even if we have escaped, the old people in the group will not let us go. The old things mentioned by Tombdiggers are some elderly members of the treasure-stealing group. They are usually the entry teachers of new treasure-stealing group members and also hold some punishment rights within the group. Although these elderly people are old, their lifelong greed will make them punish the members of the treasure-stealing group who fail the mission. Losing the antiques that have already been excavated is a kind of failure. Tombdiggers will never attribute such failures to themselves, which is why they are willing to listen to Wang Daoyi's account even though they know that he may be ill-intentioned. Tombdiggers need to leave themselves a way out, and after running away, they can shake off the blame. Wang Daoyi didn't know what the Tombdigger was thinking, but he said that he was afraid of being punished by the stolen treasure group after losing the antique, so he continued to tell his little plan of running away. We have 16 people, and there are only a few dozen antiques left here. Abandoning those large items, we each bring 2 antiques so that they won't be too conspicuous. After a pause, Wang Daoyi continued, looking at the Tombdigger's eager expression, although we have given up some of the larger antiques, as long as we bring out most of the smaller antiques and the older sister speaks to us, the seniors in the group have no excuse to punish us. After all, we have not lost everything. After listening, the Tombdigger knew that this was a feasible method, but he still had a hint of concern. We need to escape separately. What if someone brings antiques and doesn't return to the treasure-stealing group? After all, some peripheral members can run away directly. After they hide their names, we can't find anyone. The composition of the members of the treasure-stealing group is complex. Except for the legitimate members of Bauer's sister who are well aware, many peripheral members have joined halfway through. The details of these people are not clear to Bauer's treasure-stealing group, and it is obvious that these peripheral members are left behind in the ruins. Once these people flee with antiques, it will be difficult for the treasure thieves to recover them, as they may even have fake names. We don't need to worry about whether they will run away. Wang Daoyi's brain spun and quickly came to a conclusion. Instead, they will definitely run away. These greedy guys, once they don't have our supervision, will definitely fly away with antiques. So we need to use these guys instead of thinking about how to prevent them from running away. After speaking, Wang Daoyi looked at the Tombdigger and knew that he would definitely support this statement. After all, the Tombdigger also did not believe these peripheral members. Kid, tell me how to use these people. Although I look down on these hyenas, there is no doubt that they are all veterans. A simple plan cannot trap these people. As soon as Wang Dao heard the words of the Tombdigger, he knew that his thoughts were right. The Tombdigger also knew that continuing to hold on would bring more misfortune than good. Moreover, the Tombdigger did not mind sacrificing those peripheral treasure-stealing groups. It's actually quite simple. Hand over the large antiques that were originally planned to be abandoned to them, and we'll run away with the small ones. If they don't give up these large antiques, it will definitely attract the attention of the Qianyan Army and create opportunities for us to escape. What if they give up these large antiques? Abandoning these antiques, do they still need to run away? You should know that the profits from this treasure theft are still in the hands of the elder sister. If they give up the antiques and still run away without returning to the treasure-stealing group, then they will have worked for nothing this month. Wang Daoyi sneered and said that the original owner had been in the treasure-stealing group for a year, and he could no longer understand these peripheral treasure-stealing groups. In other words, they were a group of hyenas chasing wealth. If there were antiques in their hands, these people would definitely hide their names and escape. However, if they gave up these large antiques for the sake of survival, they would inevitably return to the treasure-stealing group to demand a month's share of the stolen treasure. After listening to Wang Daoyi's simple plan, the Tombdigger nodded. Although it was a very simple plan, it happened to target the greedy desires of those peripheral treasure-stealing groups, and this plan was very clever. The only key point of this plan is how to allocate these large antiques to the members of the peripheral treasure-stealing group. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Thieves do not leave empty space. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Thieves do not leave empty space after making a plan. The tomb digger asked Wang Daoyi to squat at the entrance of the treasure trove instead of him, while he himself went to gather other senior members of the treasure-stealing group. When Bao's sister left, she left behind 4 senior members, all of whom were her legitimate lineage. If the tomb digger wanted to implement the plan, he had to negotiate with these senior members of the treasure-stealing group, otherwise everything would be like water and moon. As the tomb digger walked towards the other rooms of the ruins, Wang Dao knew that his opportunity had come and he wanted to take advantage of it to find a few small and precious antiques to hide. Because according to the plan, in order to avoid suspicion from other peripheral treasure-stealing groups, the person who made the plan also had to carry a large antique. After all, he was also a peripheral member. And he will definitely give up this big antique in the future, otherwise there is a risk of being discovered by the Qianyan Army. Therefore, if he wants to obtain enough mora to live in Liyue port after escaping, he will secretly hide a few small antiques. Wang Daoyi crawled into the treasure cave, and with a casual scan, virtual screens appeared on top of each antique piece. Name: Beast Head Agate Cup Story. The ancient people of Liyue used high-quality jade and agate extracted from the layered rock abyss to make wine vessels. The agate cups were carefully selected and cleverly crafted using the beautiful color and texture of the jade. The cup body is in the shape of a horned animal head, and the 2 animal horns are the cup handles. The mouth is adorned with a gold cap, and the eyes, ears, and nose are finely and accurately engraved. The beast head agate cup, from material selection, design to craftsmanship, can all be called a masterpiece of Liyue jade carving art, therefore it is extremely popular in the wealthy families of Liyue. Note: this is a precious treasure buried for hundreds of years, please give it the best protection. Name: Turquoise Inlaid Dragon Teeth Cup Story. The establishment of Gue Liji was the first peak period of Liyue, and the era of dragon tooth carving can also be traced back to this turbulent era. Dragon tooth carving, also known as tooth carving, refers to the technique of carving dragon teeth into various practical tools or artworks, and also refers to various dragon tooth products. The dragon tooth artifact of Gu Liyue is carved with patterns imitating copperware, and the inlaid turquoise dragon tooth cup is an exquisite ancient art treasure. Note: this is a national treasure level treasure, please treat it kindly. With its degree of appreciation, the emperor may have used it to drink wine. Name: Bone China Tableware. Bowl Story. Bone china tableware is a type of porcelain dining utensil made from animal bone charcoal, clay, feldspar, and quartz as basic raw materials, which are fired twice through high-temperature plain firing and low-temperature glaze firing. Generally including bowls, plates, spoons, stewing cups, etc. Bone porcelain is a type of porcelain, so bone porcelain tableware looks very similar to ceramic tableware in appearance. Bone porcelain tableware products are soft, transparent, high in strength, and have good toughness. Due to the addition of bone powder, the difficulty of firing increases, making them even more precious. Bone china tableware is not only a household item, but also an integration of art and luxury goods. Note: this is a bone ceramic bowl made by firing bones from unknown organisms, which has some magical abilities that your current knowledge cannot identify. Name: Shili Michin, Imitation, Story. This is a weapon that imitates the legendary weapon in the Legend of the Glass Moon. The dragon carving spiraling up from the handle of the gun spiral around the tassel. It is said that the original version had a dragon-shaped wooden box for storing the tip of the spear, so that when the spear is unsheathed, the dragon can destroy the dragon. Note: this is a damaged divine weapon, leaving only the muzzle. Its barrel has passed over time, but even so, it is still a divine weapon that adventurers find difficult to demand. With just a quick glance, Wang Daoyi casually stuffed a few nearby small antiques into his cloth bag, which was a standard treasure bag for the treasure thief group. There were more than enough small antiques to fit in, and the imitation gun head of Suichen in the box was casually hung by Wang Daoyi's waist. Although the theft was rough, Wang Daoyi was not worried that the Tombdiggers would make things difficult for him. Since they agreed to his plan, it was expected that he would do some good for himself. The fact is that the Tombdigger quickly returned to the treasure cave with 3 members of the advanced treasure stealing group. He casually glanced at the remaining antiques and then glanced at Wang Daoyi's treasure bag, showing a hint of smile, but didn't say much. He is not afraid that the king will steal antiques. To say something unpleasant, a non-greedy treasure stealing group is even less reassuring to him, and a greedy treasure stealing group ghost is even more reassuring to him, because this kind of person is within his cognitive range, and Wang Daoyi had a clear grasp of the habitual cognition of Tombdiggers, which was why his seemingly secretive hiding was actually taken openly. Little devil, your plan has been told to us by Brother Ironhead. We will gather the rest of the people here soon, and the rest will depend on you. A member of the treasure-stealing group wearing an eye mask said to Wang Daoyi. Wang Dao suddenly realized that the Tombdigger was called Tai Tu, a name full of the aura of a treasure-stealing group. Don't worry, it's just a play that everyone understands. The only thing to note is to make those guys accept these large antiques. Wang Daoyi has already looked at it. Apart from some small antiques that can be carried around, there are still some large vases, porcelain, ancient wooden furniture, and other antiques left. These antiques don't even need to be appraised, they are known to be valuable goods. The wealthy families in Liyue port love to use these antique and fragrant things as storefronts, which are also the favorite antiques of some treasure-stealing groups who don't know how to authenticate. A few people negotiated for a while, determined the script for a while, and another member of the advanced treasure-stealing group roughly identified the remaining small antiques, selected the most valuable ones, and placed them in their respective treasure bags. Of course, this time the treasure was divided without giving the king a point, which was also what the king had anticipated. You go call the rest of the people over, and this little devil and I will wait for you here. The Tombdigger Ironhead clearly held a higher position than the others, and ordered the other 3 senior members of the treasure-stealing group to gather the remaining members. In just over a dozen minutes, some treasure-stealing groups arrived at the treasure cave one after another. They looked at the grave diggers Ironhead and Wang Daoyi guarding the entrance, and no one spoke, but each person carried their belongings, with scattered and severely damaged antique fragments hanging on their bodies. It is obvious that everyone has thought that this place is no longer safe. They should have planned to escape here, so they brought all the gains in the ruins. These scattered things are not worth money, but the thieves didn't leave empty space. Take these fragments back and find a few counterfeiters and antiques that can be used to deceive some nouveau riche. Quickly, all 16 members of the treasure-stealing group left behind in the ruins arrived. Iron-headed Big Brother, everyone is here. The grave digger cast a glance at the king standing next to him. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Leaving the ruins. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Leaving the ruins. Wang Daoyi, who was glanced at by Ironhead, said he received it. Brothers, big sister and the others have been away for 3 days without any new news coming, so we are becoming increasingly dangerous here. Today, I suggested to Ironhead whether we should leave the ruins to avoid being blocked by the Qianyan Army. I'm calling everyone here now to ask for their opinions on whether to continue to stay at the ruins or leave the ruins now and return to Minlin's headquarters. The Minlin headquarters is the headquarters of the Liyue thief group. Due to the abundance of mountains and rocks in Minlin, as well as many immortal family legends, there are few thousand rock armies to set foot on, so the thief group set up its headquarters in the canyon near the blue water plain in Minlin. The quickest way for the treasure-stealing group in the ruins to return to the main camp of Minlin is to enter Dihua Island through Wangshuin from Gili Yuan, and then take a boat to the canyon of Minlin. Alternatively, turn from Giliyuan and move towards Luwachi, then proceed directly along the water bank towards the water area in the direction of Minlin. And either way, it's better than waiting in ruins. As soon as Wang Dao spoke out, more than a dozen members of the treasure-stealing group began to discuss. Little devil, what if we leave the ruins now and turn around to investigate, big sister? A middle-aged uncle's treasure-stealing group shouted, while the other treasure-stealing groups stopped discussing and looked at Wang Daoyi. Wang Daoyi glanced at Tai Tu and saw that his face was expressionless, as if he was not ready to speak. Then he looked at the other senior members of the treasure-stealing group, all of whom looked indifferent, and Wang Daoyi understood. This middle-aged uncle's treasure-stealing group should be one of Ironhead's own people. In other words, this group will guide everyone to escape from the ruins. If the plan fails or the antique is lost too much, the punishment given by the higher-ups of the treasure-stealing group will fall on Wang Dao. This middle-aged uncle will either be punished together with Wang Dao, or Ironhead will help him change his face. Wang Daoyi, who understood the thoughts of Ironhead and others, not only did not get angry, but also felt that God would help me. Ironhead and others wanted to use Wang Daoyi as a way out and replace the dead ghost, while Wang Daoyi had no intention of returning to the treasure-stealing group. His plan was to leave the ruins and go directly to Liyue port, change his head and face, and become a new person. So Wang Daoyi cooperated with the middle-aged uncle's question and answered. Only when a large amount of antiques are lost will the elder sister hold them accountable, while the iron-headed elder brother has decided to separate the antiques. We each take a few treasures, run away separately, and finally meet up in Minlin. This not only reduces the attention of the Qianyan Army and is not easy to be caught by them, but also takes most of the antiques out, so that everyone will not be held accountable by those above. The members of the treasure-stealing group actually don't care whether they will be held accountable by the people above. In other words, they are peripheral members, and the Bao treasure-stealing group is just one of the many treasure-stealing groups in Minlin. Even if all the antiques here are lost, they can just change their appearance and join a new treasure-stealing group. No treasure-stealing group will dislike having too many peripheral members. The reason why they stayed here is partly to continue excavating relics, partly to share the stolen treasures inherited by the Bao-stealing treasure group. As for their loyalty to the Bao-stealing treasure group, don't make a fuss, peripheral members don't have such things. Now when Wang Dao said that Ironhead agreed to let them escape from this ruins with antiques, the eyes of these treasure-stealing groups began to light up. Looking at the excited appearance of these peripheral treasure-stealing groups, Ironhead knew that this little kid's simple plan had been successful. As a member of a high-level treasure-stealing group, he knew too much about these peripheral treasure-stealing groups. The huge wealth contained in antiques had already blocked the vigilance of these peripheral treasure-stealing groups. Perhaps some of them still have doubts, but the act of Ironhead allowing everyone to enter the treasure cave and retrieve the antiques on their own has also made this final sense of vigilance fade away. In fact, after being selected by members of advanced treasure-stealing groups such as Ironhead, most of the remaining antiques are large pieces, and some small antiques are either damaged or worthless. But members of the peripheral treasure-stealing group don't mind. For them, those scattered fragments are good things, let alone these seemingly high-quality antiques. Quickly, all the antiques in the treasure trove were contested, and Wang Daoyi followed suit with a large vase. Not only Wang Daoyi, but also several members of the high-level treasure-stealing group, such as Ironhead, symbolically held several large antiques. Alright, everyone has been assigned the treasure now. Let's go back and rest. Let's wait until it gets dark and leave the ruins. After leaving, let's separate and finally meet at Minlin. Seeing everyone come out with antiques in their arms, Ironhead knows that the plan has been successful. Now, he will wait until it gets dark and leave this ruins. These greedy peripheral members will attract the attention of Qianyan Army, while their senior members will return to Minlin with the most valuable treasures. As for Wang Daoyi, that little ghost will become his substitute ghost and be punished by some greedy old guys. As for the reason for punishment, the few antiques that this little ghost secretly hid are the best reason. Ironhead thought while admiring himself for effortlessly coming up with such an excellent escape plan. On the other side, Wang Daoyi, who looked at Tai Tu with a proud smile on his face, returned to his straw mat with the same smile on his face. Now, the only thing blocking his way was tonight's final escape plan. As time passed by, I seemed eager to see the story of the night unfold. Soon, darkness descended upon the earth. Wang Daoyi and others changed into their own stolen treasure group attire and replaced it with ordinary Liyue merchant attire. As a versatile member of a treasure-stealing group, it's normal to carry some clothes to change with you. The relics discovered by the treasure-stealing group are probably located slightly to the right of the center of Gili Plain. There is actually a very sad name for this place, which is a place where scattered people are scattered. Many people come here for the sake of nearby secret treasures. The once bustling settlement is now reduced to ruins, and it is also one of the most rampant places for treasure-stealing groups. Where treasure-stealing groups are rampant, there is naturally the Qianyan Army. Wang Daoyi emerged from the ruins, and the land shrouded in darkness was incredibly vast. Only the sound of summer frogs could be heard, bringing the light of the campfire at the Qianyan Army's garrison in the distance. The nearest large outpost of the Qianyan Army to Liyue is near the Seven Heavenly God statue in Yunlai Sea, while the outpost on Liyue's side is just an ordinary outpost, with about 30 Qianyan Army stationed. It is obvious that Wang Daoyi's group of treasure thieves cannot defeat 1,000 rock army of 30 people. Although the current Qianyan Army has transformed from a battle against demons to a normal security army, its military strength is still incomparable to thief groups like the treasure thief group. Quickly, all members of the treasure-stealing group left the ruins and began to scatter, which was also part of the plan. Although they changed into the clothes of the caravan, those holding vases and furniture one by one did not seem like serious merchants. It was somewhat unnecessary to enter the outpost as merchants. So, according to the plan, everyone will break up into pieces, bypass the Qianyan Army stronghold on their own, and then go to Minlin. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Investigation by Qianyan Army. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Investigation by Qianyan Army. Coming out of the ruins of Liyue, Wang Daoyi held a large vase and walked towards the main road. Some treasure-stealing groups have not yet gone far, so it is difficult to put down this large vase to avoid arousing suspicion from others. Although Liyue is large and used to be the largest residential area of Liyue, Giliji has been sparsely populated since its disappearance. In addition, there are numerous treasure-stealing groups and relics guarding the area, making it rare for ordinary people to live here. Most of the former roads have been abandoned, leaving only the largest main road preserved under the maintenance of Liyue 7 stars. This road intersects with Gili Yuan and connects to Wangshuin. On the left, it leads to Juayan, and on the right, it is the mining area of Mingyun town. On the other hand, it leads to the busiest commercial port in Tivat, which is also the capital of one of the 7 countries, Liyue Port. If Liyue Port is the sea lifeline of Liyue, then this road is her land lifeline. It is precisely because of the importance of this road that Liyue 7 star has dispatched a large number of Qianyan Army stationed here. From Liyue Port to Sherman, the farthest point on the main road, there is a Qianyan Army garrison at regular intervals, which not only provides shelter for traveling caravans but also cuts off the rampant activities of treasure-stealing groups in this area. As Wang Dao walked along the main road, there were fewer and fewer treasure-stealing groups in his sight. After all, the closer he got to the main road, the easier it was for the Qianyan Army to discover. However, there was still a sneaky figure following behind Wang Daoyi. It was the middle-aged treasure thief group who had previously entrusted the Tombdiggers' iron head in the ruins. The fact that he was being tracked was completely predictable by Wang Daoyi, as he had long sensed Iron Head's intention to use him as a replacement for the dead ghost. If he came out of the ruins, Iron Head would naturally send someone to follow him. Originally, Wang Daoyi thought that Iron Head would directly let this middle-aged treasure-stealing group form a team with him to openly monitor, but to his surprise, Iron Head was thinking of sneaky surveillance. Ah, the mob is the mob. Even if their strength far exceeds mine, they only want to sneak around. Wang Dao was contemptuous in his heart and only looked down upon the behavior of Iron Head, which was secretly monitored. In fact, after leaving the ruins, Tai Tu did not immediately let anyone control Wang Daoyi, so Tai Tu had already lost. After all, Tai Tu thought that as soon as Wang Daoyi returned to the Minlin headquarters, he would naturally become his replacement ghost. And Wang Dao's first thought was to leave the ruins and go directly to Liyue, change his appearance, and become a new person. The situation is different from other treasure-stealing groups. The first is that Wang Daoyi is only 16 years old and doesn't have the same level of banditry as an ordinary treasure-stealing group. The second point is that Wang Daoyi was a child who grew up in Qingce village. He has a household registration of Liyue, although he also has no father or mother. However, the steward of Qingce village, Grandma Ruoxin, can prove Wang Daoyi's identity. The reason why the original owner left Qingce village was to join an adventure group. In the information of Qingce village, Wang Daoyi is still a normal child who grew up as an orphan. So, for the treasure-stealing group, the Qianyan Army, who avoids them like snakes and scorpions, is like family to Wang Daoyi. So, the middle-aged treasure-stealing group following behind Wang Dao watched helplessly as the large vase on Wang Dao's hand was placed on the roadside and walked into the Qianyan Army garrison. This person can't be an undercover agent of the Qianyan Army, can't he? I need to leave here quickly and notify Brother Ironhead. The middle-aged man who watched Wang Daoyi enter the Qianyan Army garrison did not think that Wang Daoyi might be trying to whitewash his identity. Instead, he immediately thought that Wang Daoyi might be an undercover agent of the Qianyan Army, and urged everyone to leave the ruins in order to come out and report to the Qianyan Army. If Wang Daoyi knew the thoughts of the middle-aged treasure-stealing group, he might exclaim that Dihua is everywhere, but there is no such thing in the world, and Wang Daoyi also does not know the thoughts of the middle-aged treasure-stealing group. Approaching the Qianyan Army garrison. Please stay and cooperate with our inspection. A Qianyan Army holding a white tassel gun called out to Wang Daoyi. Check. Wang Daoyi raised doubts. Buying gun Qianyan Jun nodded. Yes, we have received a direct order from 7 Stars. Due to the recent rampant treasure theft group, we are required to conduct another investigation to see if there are any suspicious individuals. Please rest assured that if there are no issues, my companions from Qianyan Army and I will not make things difficult for you. As soon as Wang Dao understood, he certainly knew that these Qianyan Army were here to investigate the treasure-stealing group, but he now identified himself as an adventurer returning from Mond, so he naturally did not know about the recent events of the treasure-stealing group. Ha, are you the only one here to investigate? Wang Daoyi was also surprised as he looked at the large campsite with only one Qianyan Army standing guard. Of course not, my companion is resting and recuperating because he is much more powerful than me. He can see who the bad guys are at a glance, and I can only question them one by one. Thanks to his skills, he has been stable recently. After a pause, Qian Yanjun showed an envious expression. If only I had the ability like him. Wang Dao nodded slightly. How do I need to cooperate with your inspection? Name, place of origin, and why do they appear here? Baicheng Qianyan Jun took out a thick list and looked at Wang Daoyi. My name is Wang Daoyi, from Liyue Qingce village. I left Qingce village a year ago to embark on an adventure in Mond. Recently, I have just finished my adventure and plan to return to Liyue port to rest for a period of time. Wang Daoyi is not worried that his name will be on the list. After joining the treasure-stealing group, he has not used his real name. Due to his age, everyone can only call him Little Ghost. The buying gun Qianyan Army inspected the treasure bag carried by Wang Daoyi and saw only a few cups and bowls wrapped in cloth, as well as some adventure supplies. They nodded. Oh, it's really not on the arrest list. Qianyan is firm and the heavy peaks remain unchanged. Thank you for your cooperation. You can enter the stronghold to rest. There are multiple caravans resting inside the stronghold, please stay quiet and don't disturb others. If there is anything special, please notify my teammates inside the stronghold. You can also come and notify me, my name is Xinxiang. Okay, brother Zhenxiang. Wang Daoyi nodded politely, walked into the stronghold, casually found a corner, and began to rest. On the other hand, the middle-aged treasure-stealing group also returned to Tai Tu's side and informed him that Wang Daoyi may be an undercover agent of the Qianyan Army. Damn it, how could that kid be an undercover agent? Hurry up, notify the others, let's go quickly. The Iron Head, who was originally planning to wait for the peripheral treasure-stealing group to attract the Qianyan Army before leaving, suddenly panicked when he heard that Wang Dao might be an undercover agent of the Qianyan Army. He immediately realized that he couldn't continue waiting, otherwise he might have waited for the Qianyan Army's encirclement team. Wang Dao was unaware that his entry into the Qianyan military camp had caused Tai Tu to run away early. Now, Wang Dao felt a moment of relaxation, and his nerves, which had been tense for a whole day, were instantly disconnected. A strong sense of drowsiness surged up, and he found a comfortable position and fell asleep. On one side of the camp, he kept observing Wang Daoyi's other Qianyan army. Seeing Wang Daoyi fall asleep, he also felt relieved. Although he did not see Wang Daoyi's face, in the Qianyan army camp, those who could put down their guard and enter the dreamland were at least those who believed in the Qianyan army. Those who believe in the Qianyan army are unlikely to be enemies of Liyue. Oh, this Qianyan army, named Fugue, is the colleague of Zhenxiang Qianyan army who knows how to look at faces. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Liyue. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Liyue. Liyue, a place that walks with the gods, is located in a fertile harbor east of the Tivat continent. It is known as the Harbor of Rock and Contract and worships the rock god Morax. It is one of the 7 earthly kingdoms on the Tivat continent. The majestic foothills and stone forests, vast plains, and vibrant riverbanks together form the rich landscape of Liyue, shining with colorful charm in the distinct climate of 4 seasons. Amidst the wonders of mountains and rocks, countless ancient gifts of rock demons are buried. And Liyue Port, the capital of Liyue, is the busiest commercial port on the Tivat continent. It serves as a place for Tivat's wealth to settle, a place where thousands of ships and merchants gather, and a prosperous harbor where thousands of sails gather. Under countless contractual agreements, department stores emerge one after another, offering treasures to 7 countries. Every generation of Liyue people sends a voice to the entire world of Tivat. Welcome to Liyue, travelers traveling from all directions. Following the caravan that also rested at the Qianyan Army stronghold that night, after a half-month journey, Wang Daoyi entered the port city where he had traveled countless times in the game. Just like seeing this city for the first time in a game, seeing the king of this city for the first time in reality, and once again falling into a deep shock. When entering Liyue Port, one can see the archway-like entrance, the bridge spanning Liyue Port Bay, and pedestrians passing through it like a ceremony, followed by entering the real Liyue through the bridge. Unlike the ubiquitous Chinese architectural complex in games, the real-life scenes of Liyue, pavilions, and towers are endless. At a glance, one can see the Yujing Terrace halfway up the mountain. Before the rise of the Jade Pavilion, where the heavenly power was shining, this was the only center of Liyue, far from the bustling harbor, rising high against the Tianheng mountain. The 7 stars and the leaders of various chambers of commerce are driving Liyue towards endless stability and prosperity. At the seaside port, a continuous stream of merchant ships closely and orderly stop at the port, then load and set off, and the vast fleet of ships rises on the sea like an endless snake. Wang Daoyi had to admit that even after seeing so many huge cargo ships in modern society, he was still shocked by the unimaginable port city. The appearance of Wang Daoyi, a rural bumpkin, did not provoke ridicule from those around her. As we all know, anyone who sees this city for the first time will be enchanted by its charm. This is the place to walk with the gods, Liyue. Wang Dao murmured, with a blazing flame constantly erupting in his heart. What a magnificent situation it would be if one could leave their name in this city. Following the surging crowd, Wang Dao began to wander aimlessly within the Liyue port. Originally, according to his plan, he should go to the Star Studio first and replace the antique in his hand with a Mora. However, the reality of Liyue port is too different from the Liyue port in his impression of the game. Wang Daoyi can only wander and search for it at the same time. Following the crowd and passing through countless stalls, Wang Daoyi finally found some scenes from the game. Two huge lighthouses stood tall in the sea, and across from the lighthouses, a huge step continued to rise. Wang Daoyi knew that from here, it was Fei Yunpa. Fei Yunpa is the most prosperous place for various businesses in Liyue, a prosperous and worry-free place for residents, bustling with lights that never go out. One of the largest chambers of commerce in Liyue, Feiyun Chamber of Commerce, is located in the middle of Feiyun Slope. Next to Feiyun Chamber of Commerce, there are also hundreds of chambers of commerce, big and small. Across from the Chamber of Commerce are Liyue Pavilion and Xinyue Pavilion, each shouting "Unique Moon Vegetables," right in Xinyue Pavilion. The best glass restaurant, Liyue Pavilion, constantly greeting customers. Following the crowd, Wang Daoyi quickly saw the Star Studio, a famous jewelry and handicraft shop, on the roadside. Due to various reasons, we are currently operating other side businesses, exchanging various rare treasures for the rock seal in the hands of adventurers. It is said that during the heyday of the store, the dazzling array of jewelry shone like the stars on a summer night. And the antique in Wang Dao's hand is ready to be disposed of for the Star Studio. Leaving the crowd, Wang Daoyi walked into the huge store that hung the sign of the Star Studio. Yes, the huge store was different from the appearance of only one storefront in the game. In reality, the Star Studio had an area no less than that of a modern large jewelry store, with a dazzling array of products on the shelves. Under the illumination of the lights, these jewelry and jade looked like stars in the sky, shining brightly. And this is not the heyday of Mingxing Studio, because the great abyss of Liyue have cut off some of its best sources of goods, and now only a small portion of Mingxing Studio's products are displayed. Welcome to Mingxing Studio. Currently, Liyue New Moon only accepts bookings, but we also have some other jewelry for sale. You can take a look at it as you please. The person greeting was a young lady, and as soon as Wang Dao found out about her, the owner of the Star Studio. Xingxi. Hello, I have some antiques for sale. Where can I identify them? Do you sell antiques? Sorry, Mingxing Studio only deals in jewelry for now. If you want to sell antiques, you can go to the nearby Ziguju or Eat Huyan. There is an antique shop over there that will purchase antiques. Upon hearing that Wang Daoyi is here to sell antiques, Xingxi knew that he was another person who made a mistake in the business of Mingxing Studio. Although Mingxing Studio also accepts some antiques, the premise is that these antiques belong to the jewelry category. The antique in Wang Daoyi's hand, although also used jewelry in jade, does not belong to jewelry, and its more attributes are still antiques. Wang Daoyi was a bit embarrassed. He really didn't know the rules of the Star Studio. His impression of the Star Studio was that it was the place where the rock seal was exchanged in the game, and he wasn't very familiar with it. Okay, thank you, thank you. After being polite for 3 times, Wang Daoyi came out of the Star Studio and patted his blushing face. He looked at the Ziguju next to the Star Studio and didn't open the door. There was a notice hanging at the door, indicating that the shop owner had gone out to purchase goods. There is no way. Shake your head and continue to enter the crowd, walking towards Shihu Rock. Wang Daoyi quickly had an impression of the antique store mentioned by Xingxi. In the game, it was behind an old lady's toy stall and the route was to the roadside towards the port. That guy is shouting about these rare treasures every day. When a traveler asks him for a price, he says, "These are not for sale." The reason these treasures are here is because their master uses them to show off. It's disgusting. Wang Daoyi recalled the memories of his previous life while moving towards the direction of Eating Tiger Rock. Eating Tiger Rock, the forever beating heart of Liyue port delivers vibrant blood to it. The bustling market scene here is exactly where the infinite vitality of Liyue port lies. As the largest gathering place for small vendors in Liyue, unlike the bustle of Fayunpo, Eating Tiger Rock represents the liveliness of Liyue. The shouting of vendors and the conversation of tourists make Eating Tiger Rock present a noisy and harmonious atmosphere in the market. Entering the territory of Eating Tiger Rock, Wang Daoyi was quickly attracted by a burst of fragrance. In fact, Wang Daoyi had already eaten in the caravan, and with the passing of vehicles from the caravan, Wang Daoyi did not consume much. Although it was already past lunchtime, he did not feel hungry. But as we walked into the Eating Tiger Rock, the aroma filled our noses. Our previously not hungry stomachs quickly rebelled, and we followed the aroma all the way to a small restaurant called Wanmin. For the previous Liyue Pavilion and Xingyue Pavilion, in fact, Wanmin Hall is also quite large, with over a dozen dining tables. Although it was already past lunchtime, these dozen or so tables were still packed, with many people queuing up to serve. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Artest. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Artest. Looking at the diners filled with pits and valleys, Wang Daoyi struggled to swallow his saliva. It was so delicious, but after touching his pocket, Wang Daoyi turned his gaze and stayed in the ruins for a month. After coming out, he had a meal at the Qianyan military camp and followed the caravan to pay half a month's worth of food expenses to the caravan. He no longer had mora in his pocket. If he doesn't dispose of the antique in his hand as soon as possible, he will be camping on the streets tonight. In the kitchen of Wanmin Hall, Xiangling is cooking enthusiastically, while the nearby Master Mao is helping Xiangling with some dishes and cutting work. As a young chef at Wanmin, Xiangling's craftsmanship has received praise from the vast majority of customers. Whenever Xiangling is at Wanmin, most customers will ask for her dishes by name. Regarding this, Master Mao seems to be enjoying it. Perhaps his daughter's dish is welcomed by customers more than his own, which makes Master Mao even happier. And why is it receiving the vast majority of positive reviews, not all? Because little chefs often make strange dishes for regulars and friends to taste. These strange dishes usually make it difficult for regulars and friends to distinguish whether Xiangling is prancing them or really trying new dishes. After finishing a dish of boiled black base with fragrant water, I prepared the dishes and handed them to Master Mao. I glanced outside the Wanmin Hall to see how many more guests there were. I happened to see a 16-year-old boy drooling in the direction of the Wanmin Hall, looking at the boy's struggling expression as he touched his pocket. I guess he was facing difficulties. Xiangling thought, but her hands didn't stop. Another dish was added to the pot, and she turned her attention back to the stove. When she was not busy, Xiangling looked back at the direction of the young man just now and found that he was no longer in place. After finishing work in a while, let's go out and take a look. If you're out of food, treat the other person to their latest research dish. My thoughts flashed through my mind, and then I fully immersed myself once again in the new dish. After struggling to control his appetite and leaving the entrance of the Wanmin Hall, Wang Daoyi finally found the antique shop mentioned by Xingxi. It was a small shop full of goods, including porcelain, calligraphy and painting. It looked more like an antique shop than Mingxing Studio. Atai sat in the shop, somewhat idle. In fact, at the beginning, the master let him guard the shop, and he was very happy. After all, it was an effortless task. As long as he showed off to passers-by, although it was not a fat job, it was easy and effortless, and could also be called a good job. But this is undoubtedly a boring task. The master has not brought any new treasures for a long time, and the people around know that the things here are not for sale, and fewer people are coming to listen to his show-off. Sitting in the shop bored day by day, Atai felt like his life was being wasted. Suddenly, he saw a young man enter the shop. Well, he's a newcomer. Artest's mood is like a rainy sky, quickly clearing up. Oh! Come and take a look. Each one of these is a rare treasure. Wang Daoyi knew that this person wanted to show off to him, but he didn't interrupt him. Instead, he cooperated and asked. What do you have here? Oh. If you're interested, I'll give you a good explanation and say. Immediately, Atai took a bottle from the back container. Take a look at this bottle first. Although its condition may seem average, it's been a long time now. This one can be worth half of eating Tiger Rock. Looking at Wang Daoyi's interested expression, Artest seemed to have found the initial pleasure and took out an incense burner and a teapot from behind. Take a look at this small incense burner again. It is said to have been worshipped in front of the statue of the Rock Prince for thousands of years, and it has long been imbued with the spirit of immortality. And this teapot, which was once used by Prince Yan, is unparalleled. Watching Artest constantly introducing, showing off, these antiques, Wang Daoyi felt his stomach constantly sending out signals of hunger. I had to interrupt with a loud voice. Big brother, I know the value of these antiques, and I also know that you are just showing them up. I was introduced by Miss Starry from the Star Studio to sell antiques to you. Artest, who was interrupted from casting, looked unhappy, but when he heard that it was introduced by Miss Xingxi, he reluctantly put on a smile again. Miss Xingxi introduced it, then come to the back room and see what kind of treasure it is. Speaking, he led the king towards the back. Arriving at the back, Artest seemed to have adjusted his mindset and his smile on the face had also changed a bit. Take out your treasure and place it on this table. We're just hands. Atai pointed to a square table next to it and gestured for Wang Daoyi to place the treasure on the table instead of handing it directly to him. Wang Daoyi nodded slightly, which gave a feeling of antique trading in his past life. Open the treasure bag and take out 2 cups wrapped in cloth strips and a bone china bowl. After thinking for a moment, he took the cloth bag wrapped around the bone china bowl back into the treasure bag. He remembered that the information introduction of the bone porcelain bowl noted that it had some magical effects and could be an extraordinary item that could be used in the future, so he decided not to sell it. 3 antiques were placed on the table, and then the wrapped cloth strip was gently uncovered, revealing the appearance of 2 of the treasures. Beast head agate cup, carefully selected materials, cleverly crafted using the beautiful color and texture of jade. The cup body is in the shape of a horned animal head, and the 2 animal horns are the cup handles. The mouth is adorned with a gold cap, and the eyes, ears, and nose are finely and accurately engraved. Embedded turquoise dragon tooth cup height 30.5 cm, caliber 11.2 cm, mouth wall thickness 0.1 cm. The tooth has a white jade color and seems to have blood flowing inside. The upper open lip is thin, with a slight convergence in the middle. The lower part of the abdominal cavity has a circular base, slightly smaller than the mouth, and the cup body is embedded with turquoise. Artest can be appointed as the shopkeeper of an antique shop by his master, and naturally has a keen eye. Looking at the 2 cups that Wang Daoyi took out, he was instantly attracted by his gaze. This is the treasure of Gu Gui Li Ji, TSK, with orange yellow and milky white agate mixed in a sauce red color. It has clear layers, suitable intensity, and is crystal clear and fresh. This is the most exquisite agate cup. Slowly picking up the beast head agate cup, Atai gently felt it. Crafted using circular carving techniques, the cup has a vivid and beautiful shape. The cup is shaped like a crouching beast's head, giving it a natural feeling. This is a rare treasure. Reluctantly putting down the beast head agate cup, Artest looked at the turquoise inlaid dragon tooth cup next to him. Compared to the grandeur of the agate cup, the dragon tooth cup appeared somewhat ordinary. However, Artest did not underestimate it. With his eyesight, he could see at first glance that the material of the cup was a bit like the dragon tooth flowing from Mount Mon Snow Mountain. Its color is like jade, with a blood color inside. When touched at room temperature, TSK, even if it's not dragon teeth, it's still some kind of rare and exotic tooth. Artest put down his dragon teeth cup and looked at the 2 treasures, showing a hint of embarrassment. In front of these two treasures, the antique he had just boasted about seemed to have a sense of loneliness. These two are rare treasures that may be priceless. I don't have the authority to set a price. To trade such a precious treasure, I need to report it to the master and also find a master to authenticate it. Atai's face showed a hint of excitement. It had been a long time since he was so excited. If the master had purchased these two treasures, as the owner of the antique shop, he could have carefully appreciated them. If the young master decides to sell these two treasures, can I go and inform my master now? Since you have come here, you naturally want to sell your treasure. However, the shopkeeper is going to invite your master. How long will it take to go this time? Don't worry, young master. Today, my master invited Zhong Li, a guest from the ancestral hall, to drink tea and listen to books at Tian Tizui. He is right beside me. Please wait a moment, young master. I only need 1 cup of tea to summon the master back. Zhong Li. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Zhong Li. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Zhong Li. Upon hearing Artest's words, Wang Dao was immediately taken aback. Although he knew that he had thought of meeting the characters in the game after arriving in the Tivat continent, he did not expect it to be so fast. Yesterday, his soul passed through, and today he will be in contact with the game characters from a previous life. What's more, he contacted Zhong Li, the most popular character among Genshin Impact. Although in his past life, some people often joked that Zhong Li was a useless person in society, and he also watched many funny videos of Zhong Li, especially the wear and tear series of a certain up, which brought an indelible psychological shadow to Wang Daoyi. However, in this real world, Zhong Li is Morix, the god of martial arts, the protector of Liyue, and the oldest deity among the 7 gods. Although he drinks tea and listens to the opera every day, Wang Daoyi still feels a little uneasy at the thought of seeing Zhong Li. Will he find himself a treasure thief group? Will he find himself a traveler? Regardless, what should come will always come. Thinking of Zhong Li's attitude towards travelers, Wang Daoyi felt that even if Zhong Li could see that he was a traveler, he would not take action against him. As for the identity of the treasure-stealing group, if this identity will attract Zhong Li to take action, it is all a way to give the treasure-stealing group a face bonus. Atai saw that Wang Daoyi had not replied for a long time, and thought it was because Wang Daoyi was a bit unwilling to wait. He quickly advised. I also want you to know that my master, Liyue, is the person who loves this antique the most. Although Mr. Zhong Li is a guest in the memorial hall, he is knowledgeable and some of the old scholars in the academy are willing to be outdone. It's just the right time to give you an appraisal of these treasures. The king's heart was full of roast, old scholar. Is there any old scholar in Liyue who is older than Zhong Li? However, after roast, Wang Daoyi replied to Artest. In that case, I will wait here for a while. Please go back quickly. Artest is overjoyed. Okay, please wait a moment, young man. I will go and invite my master and Mr. Zhong Li. After speaking, he ran out in a flash. You're not afraid that I'm a thief, Wang Daoyi sighed. If the shopkeeper dares to leave him alone in the store unless he's ready to behave well, he dares to let the shopkeeper know what society is. Picking up a pastry on the table, Wang Daoyi filled his stomach with hot tea. Although he had left the aroma of the Wanmin hall, his stomach was still getting increasingly hungry. Artest's speed was indeed fast. Before Wang Daoyi could finish a few cakes, Artest and the two of them returned to the back hall of the antique shop. Sir, I have been waiting for a long time. Let me introduce you briefly. This is my master. Gong. Throughout the entire month of Liyue, there is no one who loves these treasures more than my master. Sir, you must be the wisest choice to give these treasures to my master. Artest didn't care about the pastries that Wang Daoyi ate and politely introduced them to him. This is Mr. Zhong Li, a deceased guest. Mr. Zhong Li has extensive knowledge and expertise. With Mr. Zhong Li's appraisal, we can definitely offer you a satisfactory price. And de Gong was dressed in gentry attire. Although he was old and had white hair and beard, he was in good spirits. He nodded to the king and looked at the two treasures on the square table, with a look of joy on his face. And what caught Wang Daoyi's attention was still this deceased cousin named Zhong Li. Wearing a revised suit with a lot of Chinese elements, it looks like a dragon robe or a tailcoat, which is very different from anyone I have seen since crossing over to Wang Daoyi. It can only be said that others and Zhong Li are not in the same artistic style, not only in terms of appearance, but also in terms of the information displayed by the golden finger. Zhong Li is not in the same artistic style as others. Name: Zhong Li, Morix, Level. Skills. I have met Mr. Andy and Mr. Zhong Li, please evaluate them. Stabilizing his excitement at seeing Zhong Li, Wang Daoyi still generously invited de Gong and Zhong Li to enjoy the two treasures on the square table, regardless of the pastry crumbs in his hands. Little friend, you are really a handsome person. Zhong Li praised calmly, even though he appreciated others' words, he spoke them out from his mouth, but they were particularly plain. Before Wang Dao could reply, Zhong Li and de Gong gathered at the square table to study two antiques. The material is a sauce red ground mixed with orange-yellow and milky white agate, with clear layers, suitable in intensity, and crystal clear and fresh. Crafted using circular carving techniques, the shape is vivid and beautiful. The cup is curved and shaped like a crouching beast's head, giving it a natural feeling. It's a great treasure, finely crafted, and has a glassy luster all over, shining brightly. The animal's mouth is embedded with a golden stopper in the shape of a cage, which can be removed. There is flow inside, which can be called the wine in the cup pouring out from the flow. It is truly a treasure. This agate cup is not only an extremely rare ancient jade carving artwork, but it may also have important reference value if given to the old scholars studying ancient Gili collections in the college. The two of them played with this agate beast head cup, enjoying and chatting while marveling at it. Both of them were experts in antiques and quickly set a price for the agate beast head cup. Little friend, we have been waiting for a long time. Seeing such a treasure, we are also overjoyed. And de Gong reluctantly put the agate beast head cup back on the square table. If you are interested in taking action, I am willing to accept this treasure for 1.5 million moles. 1.5 million moles. Wang Daoyi learned from the original owner's memory that the price of Tivat was actually relatively stable, and there was no situation where a single dish cost tens of thousands or even tens of thousands in the game. In Qingce village, an ordinary person's annual living expenses are about 20,000 mora, including additional expenses during holidays. In Liyue port, 1.5 million moles is enough to be considered a huge sum of money. The Wanmin hall, which had previously made him drool, only costs a few hundred moles at the most for a meal. This meal is enough for 3 to 5 friends to have enough to drink and eat. Of course, this is just the consumption of ordinary people, and as the currency circulating throughout the Tivat, the high element affinity of the mora allows people to use it as a consumable in various advanced forging and alchemy. This is the main reason why Liyue mints a large number of mora every year, but does not cause currency inflation. While observing the clock of the dragon teeth cup, put down the dragon teeth cup in your hand. 1.5 million moles, it's worth matching with this agate cup. Nowadays, the ruins of Galiji are becoming increasingly rare, and the number of such intact agate cups is also decreasing. The price offered by Duke Andy is indeed reasonable. Upon hearing Zhong Li's affirmation, Wang Dao nodded slightly. Since that's the case, that's what happened. It's a rare treasure. Please take good care of it, Duke Andy. It's easy to say, I also cherish such a treasure very much. And de Gong nodded repeatedly when he saw Wang Daoyi agreeing to take action. How does Mr. Zhong Li think of this dragon tooth cup? But it's a real dragon tooth. On the market of Liyue, there are many imitations of Longya cups, which have existed since the ancient Galiji era. Therefore, Lord Andy himself cannot confirm and requires the appraisal of this Zhong Li. Its color is like jade, with a blood color inside, and it is indeed a characteristic of dragon teeth when touched at room temperature. This dragon tooth cup should be made from the root of the dragon tooth of a sea dragon beast as the cup body, with a hollow belly and waist. The handle of the cup is also made of dragon teeth. The upper part of the dragon tooth cup is open and thin, and the middle part of the cup is slightly convergent. The lower part of the abdominal cavity is equipped with a circular bottom, which is slightly smaller than the mouth. There are two symmetrical small circular holes drilled up and down on one side of the cup, which are inserted into the tenon to connect the cup and the hand. It is indeed a rare treasure to see. Zhong Li nodded, indicating that it was also a genuine item. Since it is a treasure, please give Mr. Zhong Li a price. If I were to price it, the price I offered for this dragon teeth cup would be priceless. Zhong Li caressed the dragon teeth cup, seemingly recalling something. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Xiangling. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Xiangling, unpriced. I also know that this dragon teeth cup is an priceless treasure. Since Mr. Zhong Li is not good at bidding, please let me know the price. As long as I can afford it, then the deal will be made. Andy Gong didn't expect Zhong Li to give an invaluable answer, but he seemed to understand Zhong Li's personality and didn't get angry. Instead, he turned to Wang Daoyi and spoke up. Is it priceless? Wang Dao immediately recalled the information introduction of the dragon tooth cup, which seemed to describe that the emperor may have used this dragon tooth cup to drink. If this is true, then this is the dragon tooth cup carrying the memories of the emperor, and it is indeed priceless. Although Wang Daoyi is not a storyline party, he also knows that there is an irresistible thing called wear and tear on Tivat, and memories are a kind of wear and tear. The dragon tooth cup, which carries the memories of the emperor, can be considered a true priceless treasure no matter where it is. After some thought, Wang Dao made a decision immediately. Since it is an priceless treasure, it is priceless. I have already sold a treasure today. If we set a price for this treasure as well, it would be too much loss. Since Duke Andy has obtained a treasure that has solved my life's difficulties, why not leave this treasure to Mr. Zhong Li for safekeeping first? This way, there is no need to bid, and both of you can continue to appreciate this treasure. Duke Andy, how about that? Andy Gong did not notice the extensive psychological activity of Wang Daoyi. He just felt that Wang Daoyi himself could not set a good price, so he put the clock away first, so that the trading on both sides would be temporarily suspended. He could only accept it when the price was set later. So great, so great. Zhong Li, on the other hand, looked at Wang Daoyi with an elusive gaze and said, do you really want to entrust this treasure to Zhong for safekeeping? Of course, my intention in selling this treasure was to solve my own financial difficulties. Since Lord Andy has purchased the agate cup and my financial difficulties have been resolved, this treasure is of no use to me. It's better to entrust it to Mr. Zhong Li for safekeeping. Wang Daoyi looked at Zhong Li, unsure if the other party had noticed anything, but still insisted on handing over the dragon teeth cup to Zhong Li. Zhong Li, since the young master is willing to entrust you with the safekeeping of this treasure, why don't you accept it for now? If the young master wants to take action in the future, he can retrieve it again. This time, it turned out that Duke Andy had started persuading Zhong Li to accept the dragon tooth cup. Since that's the case, I'll put this dragon tooth cup on my side for now. If you need it later, you can come to the Xingtang to ask Zhong for it. Okay. Seeing Zhong Li agreeing to accept the dragon tooth cup, both Andy Gong and Wang Daoyi smiled. Even if this deal is reached, why don't we go to the bank while it's still light? As the issuing place of Mora and the core of the seven-country economy, Liyue naturally has not only one Bagua bank, but also a large number of local banks, including major chambers of commerce and official ones. A transaction of 1.5 million moles naturally requires going to the bank, not only having a contract between the two parties, but also having a lawyer's supervision. The laws of Liyue are constantly improving. Since Tianquan Ningguang, one of the 7 stars, took office, countless merchants of all sizes have exclaimed that this Ningguang master's speed in repairing the law has exceeded that of the previous 7 stars by too much. Okay, as in De Gong said. Wang Daoyi also wants to complete the transaction quickly. After all, he is still thinking about the delicious food of Wanmin. 1 hour later the 3 of them came out of the Liyue bank and the transaction went smoothly. The people at the bank were very professional. They not only directly matched the supervising lawyer, but also found out that Wang Daoyi did not have an account at the Liyue bank. In just a cup of tea, they opened the account for Wang Daoyi and deposited the 1.5 million moles of Andy Gong's transaction into his account. The bank kindly prepared a personal seal for Wang Daoyi and informed him that if he needs to withdraw large amounts of money, he must bring this seal with him. If it is not convenient to come to the bank to withdraw money, you can also use this seal as a voucher. You can withdraw up to 10,000 moles, but you can only withdraw it once in a short period of time. If the seal is lost, be sure to report it to the bank as soon as possible. Since the transaction has been completed, Zhong will bid farewell first. Little friend, if you have anything to do, feel free to come to the memorial hall and find me at any time. Leaving the bank, Zhong Li greeted the 2 of them and prepared to leave, then separately instructed Wang Daoyi. Are you going to the Hall of Rebirth? Did Zhong Li see something? Forget it, there must be a way to get to the mountain by car, let's leave it at that for now. Wang Dao devoted himself to his ideals and then bid farewell to Duke Andy. Prepare to go to Wanmin Hall and have a good meal. Returning to eating Tiger Rock, the number of guests at the entrance of Wanmin Hall has decreased significantly. It is now 3 p.m. and it is no longer a meal. Wang Daoyi walked into the Wanmin Hall, which was different from the Liyue Pavilion and the Crescent Pavilion. The Wanmin Hall was clearly more approachable and down to earth. Entering the door, you can directly see the kitchen. A pretty girl is busy in front of the stove. The girl has dark blue hair, and her hair is tied up in a bow-like hairstyle at the back of her head. She is dressed in a yellow-brown outfit, revealing a pair of exquisite white legs. It must be said that this girl is very attractive. This is Xiangling, right? Wang Dao recognized the girl at a glance. Although it was his first time seeing her in reality, in the game, the girl's love for cooking still made him love her. Yes, as a foodie, Wang Daoyi has a natural fondness for Xiangling. After all, who wouldn't like a beautiful little cook? Feeling someone entering, Xiangling put down her pot and looked up. Oh, it's you, drooling little brother. The person who was originally going to search after finishing her busy schedule suddenly appeared, and Xiangling was very happy. Flowing. Drooling. Wang Daoyi felt a bit embarrassed. He didn't expect that he would just stop at the entrance of the Wanmin Hall for a while and let Xiangling see his embarrassing scene. Huh, are you going to have a meal, young man? What would you like? The craftsmanship of Wanmin Hall will definitely not disappoint you. Seemingly aware of Wang Daoyi's awkwardness, the nearby Master Mao smiled lightly and walked out of the kitchen to greet Wang Daoyi to sit down. I made you laugh, but I have heard of the craftsmanship of Wanmin before, and I came here today to taste it. Setting aside his awkward emotions, Wang Daoyi opened the menu handed over by Master Mao, which was filled with some delicious dishes he used to be familiar with but now wants to taste. I'll have some stir-fried meat slices, 1 secret fried radish balls, and another signature boiled sea bass. Alright, young man, you should drink tea first and serve the dishes immediately. Master Mao poured a pot of tea for Wang Daoyi and shouted, Xiangling, 1 order of stir-fried meat slices, 1 order of secret fried radish balls, and another order of signature boiled sea bass. Okay, Dad. The lively voice of Xiangling came from the kitchen. Is this your first time visiting Liyue Port, young man? Perhaps feeling a bit embarrassed about his daughter's earlier offense, or perhaps it was already past the busy time when Master Mao did not continue to help in the kitchen, but stayed by Wang Daoyi's side. Wang Daoyi doesn't mind chatting, and chatting can also dispel the awkward atmosphere just now. Yes, I grew up in Qingce village since childhood. Last year, I went on an adventure in Mond. Recently, Mond suffered a dragon disaster, so I returned to Liyue and planned to live here for a period of time. The adventurer who returned from Mond was the identity prepared by Wang Daoyi for himself, and Mond's dragon disaster was heard by some tourists discussing while wandering on the street today. This also made Wang Daoyi aware of the timeline he had traveled through. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Wanmin Hall. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Wanmin Hall, Dragon Disaster. Master Mao is busy in the kitchen of Wanmin Hall every day. When he heard about the dragon disaster, he immediately became interested. Yes, dragon disaster, a blue giant dragon attacked Mon City. Wang Daoyi naturally knew that this giant dragon was Mon's guardian dragon, the Dongfeng dragon Tuolin. However, he is currently playing an ordinary adventurer returning from Mond, so the story he tells can only be from the perspective of an ordinary adventurer. Was it attacked by a giant dragon? Didn't their gods punish the dragon? The scattered diners on the side were also attracted by Wang Daoyi's words. The Liyue people cannot imagine how the capital of a city-state would be attacked by a giant dragon. If a monster dares to attack Liyue port, then only the long spear and sword of the Qianyan Army are waiting for it. In more serious cases, it may even be the Emperor's rock spear. Lord Gu Yun, countless demons are warning all the monsters to be calm in Liyue. However, someone next to him continued, you don't understand. Mond is a free city-state, and their god of wind doesn't manage things. He's not like us, the Rock Prince, walking with us and other ordinary people. How can this city without gods work? If Liyue didn't have the Rock Prince, I dare not imagine what it would be like. Wang Daoyi listened to the discussions around him and also sighed. The people of Liyue, under the protection of Morax, are indeed much happier than those of other countries. Looking at these chattering diners, I don't know what kind of expression Morax will have after he feigns death. Yes, Mon's wind god is the god of freedom and generally does not manage Mon's affairs, just like our Liyue has 7 stars to manage small and large affairs. Mon also has a knight's order to manage various affairs in Mon City. So their knights don't care about this dragon disaster. Damn it, unfortunately, their knight's leader took most of their knights on an expedition, so now Mon City is unable to deal with the dragon scourge. The diners are very good at chatting, and chatting with them gradually brought back Wang Daoyi's feeling of chatting with the community masters about the international situation in the park in his past life. Here we are, stir-fried meat slices, secret fried radish balls, and Wanmin Tang's signature boiled sea bass. Please enjoy it. As a new customer, remember to give us a review after eating. Before long, Xiangling held the food plate and served the dishes. Xiangling looked at Wang Daoyi, who picked up his chopsticks, and her expectant gaze showed a chef's eagerness to receive feedback from diners. Wang Daoyi was not polite either. He picked up a piece of meat and sent it to his mouth. The meat slices are stir-fried in high heat, adorned with red Julian chili peppers. The spiciness is like a beam of fire in the snow, instantly lighting up the taste buds on the tip of the tongue, making one's fingers skip a beat, and the king's way is exhilarating. Looking at Wang Daoyi with a big appetite, Xiangling also showed a happy smile. For Xiangling, the happiness that a diner can eat is the greatest praise for her. There are also these fried radish balls and boiled fish. You can try them too. Wang Dao swallowed a fried radish ball and looked at another dish. Wanmin Tang's signature boiled sea bass is a fish dish made by boiling it. The fish fillets are firm and full, with a fresh and delicious taste. After entering the mouth, there is a strange aroma that leaves a lasting impression. When Wang Daoyi asked about this strange aroma, Xiangling smiled happily and said, "It's a glass bag." The biggest secret of Wanmin Tang boiled fish is to add ground glass bags to the hot oil, which can make the dishes spicy but not dry, and also have the aroma of glass bags. Xiangling didn't care if this was the secret recipe of Wanmin Hall, and generously explained to Wang Daoyi. The two traditional cuisines of Liyue Port, Litsai, and Yuekai, each dominate half of the culinary world. In order to compete, the two sides continue to fight and develop their own supporters. However, the food war of competing for high and low taste directly led to the monopoly of rare ingredients in Liyue Port, which aroused the anger of countless chefs. Born into a family of chefs, Xiangling expressed her anger more directly. She chose to take the big spoon from her own Wanmin Hall. There should be no distinction between high and low in cuisine. Xiangling, who believes in this principle, constantly pursues new breakthroughs in cuisine. So, Xiangling doesn't care about the so-called secret recipe. In her opinion, even if someone steals the secret recipe of Wanmin Tang, they cannot steal the philosophy of Wanmin Tang. The fact is that Wanmin Tang has never concealed the so-called secret recipe, and even the kitchen is open, and no one can replicate the delicious taste of Wanmin Tang. It's really a delicious food that leaves an indescribable aftertaste. Wang Daoyi reluctantly swallowed the last bite of the food and patted his stomach, feeling a little emotional. As long as you like, you can come to Wanmin Hall anytime. Although there are not Xiangling chefs every day, Master Mao's craftsmanship is also well known. Cleaning up the dishes, Master Mao heard Wang Daoyi's sigh and happily advertised himself, "Yes, this time when I return to Liyue, I plan to stay for a long time. Master Mao, do you know where to rent a house at Shihu Rock? Little brother wants to rent a house." Coincidentally, Grandma's son at the end of the street is planning to return to Qianyin village for retirement. Her house will be rented out. If little brother is interested, I will take him to take a look. As soon as Master Mao heard that Wang Dao was looking for a house, he enthusiastically introduced it. Grandma's son at the end of the street runs a tea house. Recently, because she is getting older and her family is managing the tea garden in Qianyin village, she is planning to return to Qianyin village for retirement. Meanwhile, the tea house in Liyue Port is just about to be rented out. Wang Dao's eyes lit up. It really took no effort to get it. He thought he would have to search for it for a long time, but he didn't expect that just having a meal might solve the biggest housing problem. Immediately, Master Mao informed Xiangling to guard the shop and led Wang Daoyi out towards the end of the street. Liyue is a country that loves tea. Not only do Liyue people enjoy drinking tea, but many foreigners also enjoy drinking Liyue tea. The tea garden in Liyue Qianyin village exports a large amount of tea to other countries every year. There are also dozens of tea houses, big and small, in Liyue Port, such as the famous Heyu Tea House, which is home to the famous Yunhan Society. Every day, it can be said that it is overcrowded, and there are also mysterious rock tea houses. The guests we receive every day are not ordinary people, or there are 3 bowls of tea in Gangang Port. Every day, there are storytellers telling old stories. However, the Sun Milk Tea House at the end of Huyen Street is obviously not a tea house like Yu Tea House, nor is there a storyteller telling here. It is exactly the opposite of the Rock Tea House, because the end of the street is near the loading and unloading area of the port, where a large number of loading and unloading workers work every day. The main guests of the Sun Milk Tea House are these port workers. We also use cheap tea, which corresponds to cheap and high-quality tea. The cheap tea in 1 mora and 1 porcelain jar is the favorite of port workers. When Wang Daoyi and Master Mao arrived at Sun Milk Tea Room, they happened to come out with a large teapot in their arms. When they saw Master Mao, the foreman greeted him and said, "Oh, isn't this Master Mao? Why are you here? Do you want to buy fish?" This is not only the largest loading and unloading port in Liyue, but also a large number of fishermen setting up stalls here. Every day, a large number of people buy and sell seafood here, and Wanmin Tang also purchases some ingredients here. It's Lao Gao. I won't buy fish today. I brought this little brother to find Grandma's son today. Looking for Grandma's son. Oh, do you want to see the house? Oh, if Grandma's son leaves, she won't be able to drink this cheap tea. She'll have to spend an extra tea fee to buy tea from those unscrupulous merchants. The foreman looked at Wang Daoyi with some venting, as if he noticed some ambiguity in what he had just said. He quickly explained. Ha, I'm not talking about you. Grandmother's side is the cheapest tea in the entire port. If we don't have this cheap tea, as a foreman, I'll have to spend more mora to buy tea from other tea houses. Dock workers are laborers, and each worker drinks a large amount of tea every day. Of course, the tea here is not only tea, but also mung bean soup, bayberry soup, and so on. Although there are workers with the most Liyue at the dock, there are also foremen with the most Liyue. If you cannot even guarantee the tea during the busy work of the workers, they will naturally not follow you. So, the foreman at the dock always needs some high-quality and affordable tea drinks. You can roll it up. Upon hearing the foreman's explanation, Wang Daoyi expressed understanding. He didn't actually think too much, he just wanted to find a place to settle down first. Don't worry, uncle. If Grandma's son sells this tea house to me, then the tea business will naturally continue. Then I wish you all the best. Master Mao, I still have work to do, so I'll leave first. Upon hearing Wang Daoyi's words, the foreman nodded happily and greeted Master Mao before heading towards the port. Later, Master Mao and Wang Dao entered the tea room and met Grandma's son, explaining their purpose. Grandma's son is a peaceful old man. When she heard that Wang Daoyi was willing to continue operating this tea house, she agreed to transfer it to Wang Daoyi. I used to be ignorant and despised my father for being just a dock worker. Later, I got married to Xiangling village and only returned to Liyue port to see him for the last time when my father was dying. So, I opened this tea room at this dock to provide tea for everyone. In fact, it was just to ease my own guilt towards my father. Grandma's son told Wang Daoyi about her story with this tea house, and also promised her family's tea garden in Xiangling village that she would continue to supply tea to this tea house to ensure that it could still provide high-quality and affordable tea for the dock workers. With the help of Master Mao, before the sun set, Grandma's son and Wang Daoyi went to the General Affairs Department to complete the transfer procedures. Wang Daoyi bought this tea room located between Shihu Rock and the dock for an ultra-low price of 250,000 mora. Then the three of them went to Wanmin Hall together for dinner, celebrating Wang Daoyi's settling down in Huyan and also celebrating Grandma's son's remorse for her father. End of this chapter.